Well, the same style that we saw last time. I don't know if we'll see the same between a Genji Tracer on Infernal Shrines unless you were just down to fight the entire game, which No Tomorrow might be. But neither of those really contribute a lot to the objective in general. But when we've seen No Tomorrow at their best, Dreadnought, it's been on an aggressive style play. And they've had some success on Infernal Shrines when they do play that style. Not necessarily always to wins, but they've been very competitive against some of the top teams on this Battleground. This is actually one of the ones I believe that when they upset Team Freedom in the earlier part of this year before the Clash, this was kind of one of those maps where it's like, what if we just dive a team like Team Freedom? And that kind of opened up the door for a lot of teams against Team Freedom. So No Tomorrow definitely know how to play this Battleground. It's just a matter of can they keep up that pace. Is it the Garrosh? Maybe we mix in the Anubarak, which was kind of that old flavor that they like to run.
And again, even though this isn't the map selection, LFM, it is one of their higher prioritized map behind the Sky Temple. It gets a little bit vague after the Sky Temple, but for me, I feel like this was, you know, one of the higher priorities that we saw from them. And I don't know if I personally always enjoy that just because of how slow the map can play for maps like LFM, especially those kind of, you know, taking the time to learn. The maps that kind of can cater to that long, drawn out, if you can't find those win conditions early, normally I feel like kind of set them back. So we'll see if they can find a way to remedy some of those concerns here. Medivh taken off the table. Do we see the Phoenix ban for No Tomorrow?
Phoenix contributes heavily. If you talk about is when he switches to the splash auto attack damage, does well against the objective, splashes over to heroes, very, very strong. And I like the fact that they banned Medivh because if they do get a Phoenix ban against them on the side of No Tomorrow, you go into Maiev, another hero that tends to do well here. So No Tomorrow has some decisions to make. Could opt to go neither, and then just kind of play into it to your own. Maybe pick up the Phoenix or the Maiev for yourself, depending on what's left. Looks like they have decided, though, they will ban the Maiev.
How long does it take? Was it snap lock like the last one? No, we made a second in.
I will say, the Li Ming obviously was a bit of a surprise to both of us. If you're going to go another backliner like you want to, Tychus might need to be considered before that second ban, and I hate to say that, picking up 2 damage dealers before that.
No, I agree.
But hero pool playstyle map, it wouldn't be the worst.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those moments where if that is going to be the go-to for Tia, and we're going to limit it down to those 2, which pretty much has been the pattern that we've seen over the past couple weeks. Getting Tychus after that later stages on a map like this, very unlikely, and it's Li Ming just not catered towards the map well enough. Unless somehow you make up with that in other areas of your draft, which I'm just going to put that as probably not, and not even consider that realm or that direction for LFM.
I really wonder the route that No Tomorrow is going to go down in terms of what type of aggression. Johanna, it's a Gen favorite. When I remember him in Open Division, it's something that he would go back to. I've fallen off the Johanna train.
I'm not against it still. I'm on it.
I know, and I think in this, just because we're talking about No Tomorrow, their greatest successes have come when they're able to be aggressive. I don't think Johanna fits that style. They're going to stick to the Garrosh on this Battleground, same rotation, get the Genji as well. There's an outside shot, by the way. Unless it's banned, we might get an Alex Straza to maybe get that Cleansing Flame dive underneath a lot of that.
Cleansing Flame dive here. I will say Garrosh Genji, though it is near the exact, I believe, actually the exact same draft that we had, word for word, hero for hero of the last game. This is a very different draft for No Tomorrow. And I mean that purely based on the map, just that alone. Garrosh Genji do not accent the map very effectively. They don't really make too much happen. The 1-4 is not as common. The rotations are less impactful. Just from beginning to end, I feel like a lot, you know, this 1-2 out of No Tomorrow doesn't pack the same punch. LFM has a lot of options that they can commit to that is a lot slower, a lot more macro-oriented, and suddenly make this Garrosh Genji go, just look a little bit silly. Johanna's one of the heroes that I'm thinking of that cater to that. Another one that I wouldn't mind is if we get that Junkrat, but again, we're talking about T and his hero pool. Probably got to commit to something more like that, Li Ming and Tychus. But they go with Diablo and Malfurion. I will say I would have liked to see that Diablo post-second ban phase. They maybe felt like they absolutely needed it and they wouldn't be able to get it, but I personally feel like on a map like this with the Garrosh picked up, Diablo and that kind of trade-off, Diablo is more available on a map like this. I'm just like, if you banned it, there's enough heroes that I'm comfortable with that I just go, thank you for the free ban. We're able to lock it in.
LFM has played Johanna 10 times total. 0 wins thus far on the Johanna, so maybe they do feel like they need it here in case it might have been banned against them. Instead of going control style, maybe counter aggression with a little bit of aggression of your own. They get the Phoenix there. Again, will Tychus show up for one of these teams? It could easily show up, although you think about No Tomorrow, things that come to mind are the Gul'dan and the Jaina, which we know that Shrite does like to play. So some mage consideration as well. I'm actually wondering if No Tomorrow might not just go double warrior with an Anubarak. Like, just go full in.
Who do you pick as your next backliner if you were to do that? Would you just Hanzo? I will say Hanzo's sitting in the back of my mind knowing that Diablo's picked up on the other side of the table. Even though it is Shrines, Hanzo Diablo for me is one of the scariest. You know, it's one of the few times, unlike Leyline, where I look at it and I just go, ooh, this might hurt. Sukov's going to be the ban for LFM. Dahaka, what do we see out of this rotation for No Tomorrow? Unless they're going to commit to the Sonya. Forgot about that. We're looking at Shrines.
It is Equinox.
Yeah, Equinox on Shrines. Might be a Sonya. But if it is a Sonya, then the double warrior, you know, kind of dive all in with the Anubarak. It could get away with it, but it does feel so straightforward in how you have to play against it for LFM that it is counterable.
I like the Sonya. Yeah, there it is. And they take the Tychus away. Taking the Tychus away from LFM, I think that is. I mean, the Malfurion, you think, could that have been that Tychus there in that rotation? Maybe get it later, but taking the Tychus away, Tychus obviously on Infernal Shrines, good clear, good overall control, good against Diablo. Diablo kind of fits a similar style to Garrosh. Diablo gets souls, he has a huge health bar. Garrosh has that armor that stacks up. Having that minigun that rips through health bars, very, very strong against a well-stacked Diablo.
Last picks here for LFM. I'm going to assume that the Li Ming comes out, but I will say about every ounce of my heart says not Li Ming this game T. Let me raise some counterpoints here. Garrosh, Genji, Sonya, Tychus, all of those heroes are actually good against Li Ming. Debatably, Genji is the worst, and I would put that as a skill trade-off. Not so much that he is a bad hero into it. All the others thrive in that kind of department. The map doesn't cater to it. Please, I want something else. Give me the Greymane. Give me the Jainas. There we go. We got ourselves the Jaina and the Leoric. Man. Jaina over Junk in this type of situation really hurts my brain.
Junkrat does, I mean, you think, all right, if you go Junkrat, Phoenix, you're too squishy, and then you get a Jaina, which kind of the same thing.
Exact same problem, except less macro control on the map itself. I feel like less synergy to that slow poke playstyle that both Phoenix and, you know, the Junkrat can play into, which Leoric loves to make happen on his side. It just makes it to where everybody has to get that all in a little bit more once Diablo and Jaina decide this is our team fight. And normally it isn't that bad. It just makes the Leo feel a little out of place when the fact that you commit to the Jaina. If you change that side lane and then you still pick the Jaina, I go, it makes sense. But it's like picking those two together in that exact same rotation. And again, doesn't all kind of line up. It's not as, I think, cohesive is probably the best way to kind of put it here.
Get a last pick Uther on the side of No Tomorrow.
He's back, baby.
And you mentioned earlier, like, Uther, the synergy with the Genji. You know, we saw what Casanova did without the Uther, and it was definitely more than enough in that last game. Now he's going to have another opportunity. You look at the likes of a Sonya and a Garrosh on that front line that will heavily benefit from that. You know, you see Sonya up there in terms of interrupts, in terms of the Whirlwind. Maybe a Twilight Dream is going to be there, but the Diablo, that's really going to be the only one. Sonya potentially a lot of value with the Whirlwind on that front line, and then, you know, big flanks from Equinox I expect here, and then kind of supplement that with the Uther going in.
I will say that if LFM holds their own with this composition, though, around the first Shrine phase, Leo's a problem in the off lane with the side soak, and Sonya ends up being committed because, I hate to break it to you, Sonya can't side soak. She is Shrine Control. She is the Shrine Control for the draft of No Tomorrow, which means that Leo suddenly has an advantage. And if the 4-man stalls this out and LFM identifies this, plays it a bit slower, they can macro snowball this game pretty heavily to where I don't think that they maybe would win, but definitely is that moment where it goes, No Tomorrow, did you take too many risks kind of when it came to this draft? I feel like, I honestly, now that I see how this first Shrine phase has to unfold, I don't hate the Leo on that off lane because he is going to be able to get that punishment with the macro. I just, again, I don't know if LFM has that kind of control to identify those type of things. I mean, we've seen in the past where maybe when they get those kind of micro adjustments in lanes, they aren't gaining as much out of it as they could. I even spent a while talking with Draded this weekend about exact situation where I was like, I don't feel like, did you feel like you got as much? And he's like, nah, you know, they even identified that that is one of their kind of weaknesses as a squad. I think it's going to get highlighted.
I think to your point, Leo does great by himself clearing lanes. I mean, that's what he does, but it's, can you capitalize on that? And that's where LFM, if they're going to do it, they've got to figure it out, because just clearing lanes, it can get you a bit, but you can make a lot more out of it, I think, and some of our teams in particular have shown that. Thank you, Wubby and Dignitas. You've been doing it for quite some time. Definitely a team to watch out for if you're looking for how do you manipulate the Leoric. Dignitas has been doing it a long time.
The European region, for that matter, I feel like has just been, you know, doing it for a hot while. Leo kind of came to light during that Tassadar support era, and it hasn't left ever since. But we do have Game 2, Infernal Strides here between LFM and No Tomorrow already. Let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. So I touched my purple tie there. I don't know why. I just felt the need to do it, you know? The camera was zooming in, and I had to check out my polka dots.
Some people pop their collar. Dreadnought pops his tie.
Yeah, you know me.
Dre's going to come out with a new remix song. There was an old song, I think, called Poppin' Collars or something. Now it's going to be Poppin' Ties, the esports version.
Man, from beginning to end, anybody who knows that tune, automatically, that's their worst nightmare, especially if I'm singing it. All right, so when looking here, talents, everybody's sticking on the norm. We have not gotten a single variation towards the level 1 of Phoenix. It has always been, you know, that auto attack scaling mixed with the quest to be able to get your extra scan out there. That plasma cutter. Drade is going to go ahead and get flipped over. Good night.
Jen's going to get flipped back over by Diablo. It's just, I'll flip you, you flip one of my teammates. Oh yeah, I'm going to flip you back.
It is kind of funny that because every, don't quote me exactly, but it's pretty close to every, you know, kind of displacement crowd control like that. A majority of them, at least, especially as of late, are that kind of like point and click crowd control. And it's just because mobility is so high up and because so many people are like, how do we get CC against these heroes? And it's like, well, they're going to dash in with their mobility. And then I'm going to use my point and click CC to throw them the other direction. And now it's gotten to the point where it's just like everybody is tossing models everywhere during these team fights. It's a wild meta. It's a wild time to be a Heroes of the Storm fan.
You mentioned that. So, again, warp can be interrupted. If you can get the toss in and the groundbreaker, obviously that's a big part of it. But you get any type of follow-up CC, and all of a sudden that warp isn't going anywhere. So the Uther pickup could pay huge dividends if we see similar plays like that going forward. So the Uther pickup also going into the auto attack one, so that after you finish that quest, you get the auto attacks in, it lowers the cooldown on that hammer to get that stun. So definitely looking to be active in and around the shrines is going to be Tomster.
One of the things I find really interesting about Warp specifically when looking at Phoenix, it was one of the first things I noted when I got my hands on the character, is that you have a 0.5 second cast time on your Warp, right, to be able to get out, but your arrival time is 0.75. And that those are disjointed. And I know right now, eventually it's never going to be looked at as like something to even consider because it'll be so normal as people are so used to that timing. But I feel like that small fraction of displacement within those timing make it to where it feels a little bit awkward when playing against him and understanding, wait, is he at the location he's supposed to be going to now? Is he not? Like, can I interrupt this still? Eventually it will become standard, but for now I do think it's actually kind of one of these few offset timing because most of the stuff we have is like a one-to-one.
One of the things that we saw last game was that if you get pulse bomb, that's one of the things that you can use. And, you know, it was one of the things that I saw players instantly pick up on was, oh, there's a pulse bomb. What if I just warp out of it? So cancels one heroic if you look at it that way. You know, one thing in particular that's always interesting, we talk about the mobility, the point and click stun, things like that. Garrosh flipping over Diablo. Generally, sometimes Diablo's like, all right, that's cool, thank you. Now I'm in prime position to shadow charge you back into my enemy team, which is why we actually saw Jen there use that Indomitable to make sure that even if he did get hit with that shadow charge, he was going to be able to walk away and not be charged back into the enemy team. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic of like, do you really want to throw in this Diablo? Because you better get that kill, else you might be the one on the receiving end.
So this is where this game is going to get extremely interesting. Both teams pick up their Shaman camp perfectly even. We have the camp spawning, or excuse me, the shrine spawning on the bottom half of the map. And Sonya has to get to this. This is so much of their shrine control. But LFM, typically you would normally want in this type of situation, hold up though, the flip landing onto Drade, forcing out that warp. Now the flip over onto Equinox there from Figgy. Not enough damage to get a kill, but at least a short-term victory. What I was going to say is normally you want that Leo off in that side lane, getting the clear, making sure your Shaman camp is going to be winning. But LFM now bring it down to join in with this 5 versus 5 rather than trying to get the stall out. They're putting a lot on this first Punisher, and there goes the flip combo.
Diablo gets tossed in. Figgy does have healing if he can survive long enough for it to go through. He indeed does,
Draded.
but Jin might not. You can see Draded putting the damage onto Tomster as well, getting the slow. Split focus here. I feel like they could have confirmed one or the other. Instead, LFM walks away with nada.
But if anything, that just shows you how disgustingly outcomped it feels like No Tomorrow is. The fact that that was split focus everywhere and no one on the side of No Tomorrow. Can you name a single silver lining? Every skeletal defender picked up was before LFM was there. From that point on, they lost the skirmish on the 2 versus 2. They lost the side lane with the Draded on the side. Other than that kind of opener here, and that makes it very curious as to how these next fights are going to unfold.
I want to go back to the opener of that part, is that Draded got tossed in on Phoenix. I mentioned staggering your stuns to make sure that if you see that warp animation, you get the stun. Tomster just instantly followed up CC'd, which is normally kind of how you do it. You lock somebody in. That's unfortunate. Figgy, he should be able to make it out alive, does have enough stuns. There's going to be that Nature's Cure coming in to make sure he doesn't get slowed. But Tomster did not stun into that. And the minute that went down, Draded was able to warp out. So things like that, it comes with practice. Again, new hero here, but I feel like that was a missed opportunity for No Tomorrow to take control right out of the gate.
I mean, I completely agree. And to be honest with you, I think that's a mistake a lot of Uthers just in general make, because unlike Malfurion and some of the other supports that exist, you don't have that range CC, right? It's point and click. And everybody worries about like, oh yeah, Uther, you can die. You go into melee form, like you know, ghost form, you're effective when you're dead. So it makes sense that when you die, you know, but nobody thinks about how hard it is to time your effective Hammer of Justice. Well, especially into Jaina compositions, you're slowed the whole time. You're just like, I'm never going to hit anything. So you get a silver platter, you know, Phoenix landing in front of you, you just go, yeah, this is the Hammer of Justice. This is what I've been telling myself I was going to make happen. Hold up here. Invade going to happen from LFM. 4-man groundbreaker into the fray.
That's
I mean, Jin
sick.
pretty much single-handedly saved every ounce of No Tomorrow by himself, but, you know, doesn't save the camp.
Level 10 quickly approaching here for LFM, and I love the aggression that we're seeing from Figgy Dreadnought. I mean, he's looking for picks. The Tychus one, obviously, unfortunately, he got kind of baited over the wall there. Shrite was able to dash out, but still not 10. This fort under assault. Casanova coming in for a big-time flank, able to get some poke there, but Figgy's like, oh, guess what? I can come in as well. That's kind of the thing of Diablo against a Genji. You got to be very careful not being near walls.
Yeah, and if you thought those side walls were hard to figure out when you were bouncing your scattering arrow off of them, trust me when I say that they're a lot harder to figure out when you are that Diablo trying to get the Shadow Charge in. Able to find a Shadow Charge against the wall with that one. Good night, Equinox. LFM has a full level lead here, ladies and gentlemen, with only 2 kills, a double fort advantage, likely to be a third if they make this rotation up towards top. The fact that Phoenix and Leo are displaying themselves on bottom show that they're going to play it a bit more passive, but LFM's in prime position to take this game.
I feel like Jaina's water elemental that I saw on the minimap looked like a unicorn or a horse or a seahorse or something. I was like, what? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what that is.
I do that with junk traps.
The traps?
Yeah.
Like,
I'll be like, what is this little animation? Like, do I have something on my screen? Somebody get this off. Like,
because
it's a smudge.
Yeah, it's a small one.
Yeah, it's just this little, I don't know. But then I'm like, wait a minute. It's the exact same color as my opponent's team.
Well, you can see LFM, they're looking to time it out, but I don't think they're going to have an opportunity. The roots are forced to be used there, and now Jin, he's getting slammed against the wall. No devastating charge yet at 13. There's going to be a taunt on 2 people.
APOC would be so good in this type of choke, though. They end up using it, but a little bit too late. End up losing getting 2 kills onto 2 members. Casanova finds himself a reset. Not going to be able to switch strike out. LFM, I mean, this wasn't even close, really, for that fight.
Figgy picking up Tychus there reminded me of when Hulk Hogan and body slammed Andre the Giant. It's like, my goodness, how does one man do that? But they end up getting the trade there. LFM making sure to get the takedowns, and now the Shrine's going to be active.
I never knew that happened, I'll be honest.
Oh, it's
good,
like,
so I can find it somewhere on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I can watch Hulk Hogan actually body slam
Andre the Giant. It was a monumental occasion back in the day.
I'm sure it was, J-How. Little J-How sitting at the TV, just couldn't wait for that moment.
I mean, I was a little Hulkster myself, and now we see Genji getting tossed in, but into the fray. But Jin, he's going to be left alone here, taking all the damage, and now he's going to get the taunt, but it's not going to be enough to save his life, and now they're looking to take down Tomster. He did go that extra movement speed at level 4 after the hammer, but Swab's going to go ahead and Wraith walk forward, get the slow. Now they're going to confirm the takedown. Just a fun fact, I had bleach blonde hair when I was like 2 or 3 years old, and I had a mullet.
I just want to know, did everybody call him a Hulkster, or is that just a you thing? That's what I need to know.
Come on, man.
Okay, you were a Hulkster.
No, Hulkster was the nickname. Dread, come on, man. All my wrestling fans that are out there, they know what's up. Hulkamania.
A Hulkster. You're adorable, J-Hal. You're adorable. Punisher leaping over the wall like another Hulkster, but in fact will keep itself alive for now. LFM with the 13 talents here, looking to claim mid-keep. Having quite a few heroics online. That is a guesstimation, but I'm pretty confident that they should have at least 4/5 there. Do they get the trigger there after the Punisher leap? No. But Figgy, he's going to get taunted over. Casting over, looking for the reset, not going to find a Shadow Charge out, able to keep him alive. Divine Shield comes in, keeps Equinox up, but aware with that Tranquility, will end up securing the structure and almost the 16s.
That's big time right there. LFM taking down a keep 9.5 minutes in with that Punisher has done so much. And I really feel like a lot of it has just been much better team play this go around, playing around Figgy on that Diablo, doing so well to engage, sitting on those souls. He got tossed in, he got flipped, and at 100 souls, he was able to survive, use that devastating charge or that shadow charge to get out of danger. And now all of a sudden, we have a level 16 Diablo, which is one of the more terrifying heroes in the game when you have a fully stacked level 16 Diablo.
Yeah, very few warriors, I feel like, do you think about, oh, wait till a 16 spike. I mean, everybody has, you know, high impact 16s. Otherwise, you would look at it and be like, wait a minute, this hero doesn't scale as well as the rest of them. But Diablo specifically really does go from good to kind of great. And his single target capabilities, his teamfight capabilities, he's just levels up from beginning to end. 13s will be here for no tomorrow, but the siege over this bottom lane is going to be real here from LFM. I feel like this is going to be very easily a keep, if not more. Indomitable use.
Figgy looking for an angle.
I was like, for sure, you know, Figgy should be going in.
He's trying to find that angle, but the Indomitable to buy that cleanse. Figgy does not want to go down. He's going to be taunted, but that is going to be the fall of Garrosh, and now Draded putting out the damage in return. He's got the scanner on, looking to fire off. Equinox somehow survives. Figgy, let's see if he can go. Equinox, though, turns back around and use that spear to get back into a place I don't think he wanted to be.
Yeah, LFM, Wraith walk out from Swabs. Casanova still doing his best here, moving forward. Goes in with the Swift Strike, not going to find himself a reset, and maybe accepting the fate here as LFM catapults kind of surmounting through mid, definitely over the bottom lane, and now they're looking to take this game and even up this series.
Again, game number 1 was the map choice of No Tomorrow, and this looks like LFM on a map they're more comfortable with, on a draft that works out a lot better in their favor, picking up the Phoenix win this go-round, but LFM, Dreadnought, they just dominated that game.
They did, and to be honest with you, I feel like part of it was definitely composition. And normally, I would not be that guy who goes, hey, this is all comp, and I'm not trying to take away without what we see from LFM. Actually,
you know what we don't see?
Yeah, me is actually the answer to that question. And my little Hulkster over here. Don't you forget, we're never gonna forget that.
We're gonna get some poses out one day. Like
yeah. Just give me a pose, just one. Just can you?
I'm in a suit, and I might just, you know, go full Hulk style, rip my shirt off and everything.
Afraid you're gonna be busting out there. This guy. My goodness,
you're tall.
You're tall, but you aren't that like you aren't like muscular. Come on here, Jay.
If I wear a shirt on the new Dreadnought size, Dreadnought now wearing a size small.
Yeah,
I could wear that. I'm sure I could bust out.
You probably could. You're right. Looking at the stats at the end of the screen here, or at the end of the game here, talking about it compositionally. You and I pointed out the Tigers taking that away, not moving in the Li-Ming, please not that direction. And look at it, you know, T repping it, top of the damage for the members of LFM. Surprising considering Draded felt like he had a huge impact.